Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. We'll start in about a minute. We're just letting everyone in from the waiting room. The chat is open, so feel free to say hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. I try to be funny. I don't know if I'm funny for everybody.
All right, well, let's get started. So thanks today for coming for today's CPH review session. Our session today is leadership, which is presented by Dr. Sabrina Dubois. As in the last few sessions, I'll be monitoring the chat. This will be a very interactive presentation, so make sure that you say hello to your fellow attendees and put your responses to the questions that Sabrina is asking throughout the presentation. If you have a question that you want Serena to answer, please put that in the Q&A section so we make sure we address that before the end of today's presentation. So a little bit about Serena. Serena is a postdoctoral fellow at the Department of Mental Health at Bloomberg School of Public Health at Johns Hopkins University in the research domains of cannabis, pain, addictions, and substance use in research. She has been working with NBPHE since 2015 in many different capacities. So with that, let's all join in welcoming Serena.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. Yes, it is my 10-year anniversary with the NBPHE. I can't believe it. Alice and I were like, we got to go for drinks. Very excited to be here. If you've had me before, you know my style, which is I would like you all to be as engaged as possible. Have fun with this. This exam should be, almost like a reiteration of everything you've learned in your profession, from your MPH degree, maybe your PhD. So, sit back, relax, enjoy. Think of it as having like, ladies, girls' night, talking about your favorite domain, which is leadership, right? And we're going to spend I'm going to say an hour and a half today because I haven't taught this domain in a while, Ashley. So probably an hour and a half. Please, please feel free to have a notebook and a pencil nearby. The reason why I say that is I want you to get the, notion of writing something down when you don't remember it or you're not sure about it. So have a pen and pencil, not your phone. I want you to actually write it down next to you and write it down when you're not sure about something. Okay, and I want you to remember that so that after the session is over, you can go back and review it. Okay, let's get going. Y'all ready for this? Are you ready to be engaged? Yes, let's do this. So we are talking about leadership today, which is 9% of the exam. One thing Allison, who is the president of the NBPHE, her and I have talked about is, when you run into a question, everybody, on the CPH exam, and you're not sure what the answer is, never skip it, okay? It's better to answer it and guess than to skip it. So if you run into a leadership or any other exam question, any other domain, and you're not sure, still guess. It's better to guess than to not, than to skip. Okay, let's get going, everybody. So I'm just going to look on the chat. We're going to have some fun. So why is leadership important? So this is just general. I just want to see what folks say today on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Why is leadership important? For the exam, for yourself, for your profession, feel free to type in the chat. I'm going to give a couple seconds here.
And do you want me to read them out, Serena?
You can read them out or I can have it up, whatever
Okay.
works. There
Yeah.
you go.
So we've got the first couple: give guidance to a team, implementing a plan, guide a team to lead people, morale, productivity, strategic vision, accountability, to have some order to an organization,
Mhm.
leaders move things forward, development, guidance, vision. I
Good.
appreciate, yeah,
Yeah,
lots of
this is all
things.
great. And it's funny because Moana saved the entire village. That's leadership. Philip, you're awesome. I love Moana. That's my favorite Disney princess. Um, Leaders drive the process. Quincy, that's great. Couple things about misconceptions about leadership. We're so focused on the person that's standing on the pedestal. We're so focused on the person that's standing on the stage as leaders. So we're thinking about leadership in more than that, beyond that person that's standing on stage. So we're gonna answer this question. And we're gonna say Why leadership in public health? So we're thinking about how you manage change. So we're not just talking about the person on stage, we're talking about every person in the organization in the project. So to answer this question, we're all going to right now physically put on our leadership thinking hats. Whatever domains you are on the exam, like let's say you're looking at a CPH question, you're like, I am on the evaluation domain. You should put on that hat. Whenever you see this leadership domain, you should put on that hat because that's the way you're going to succeed on this exam. So the goal for leadership in public health is to embrace and understand your role within the field of public health, regardless of your rank, societal position, organization type, the project, your role, and how you can bring leadership to that role. Okay? Oh, Kamisha, thank you. We're going to have so much fun today. If you've never seen these, I'm going to tell you right now, and you're serious about writing the exam, you need to read these. The first tip I'm going to give you on this exam is go into these domains. So this is the leadership domain. Read out, like verbally read out each of these tasks. As you're reading each of the tasks, ask yourself, am I understanding it? So for example, let's read the first one. Prioritize and justify allocation of resources. Do you know what that means? If you're not sure, circle it, right? And go back and review that. So I want you to, we're not going to do it today, but I want you to go back and read through these, okay? Ashley's going to give you awesome links on the chat to let you know where to find these, but please go through all of these tasks because the exam is centered and focused from these tasks, okay? Okay, but let's do some throwbacks. So who knows this? Who knows the 10 essential public health services? Anybody? Yes? Do you know what they are? So they provide a framework for public health activities that all communities should undertake to promote and protect health. So what does this have to do with leadership? Well, public health leadership is important for implementing these 10 services, right? So leaders in public health, regardless of rank, regardless of position, all work together to set the vision. Somebody said this, the direction for public health, advocating for policies and resources, fostering collaboration and partnerships with various stakeholders, being accountable, right? Transparent within your operation of your project and outcomes, promoting equity. I'm just listing a few things that relate to these 10 essential services. Another one is supporting the workforce within your organization, maybe others, right? So the reason why I'm talking about this is to go back to the whole point that effective public health leadership ensures that these 10 public health services are not just theoretical. You're actively implementing them to improve your community outcomes through leadership. Okay, so I just want to put this as like a backbone. Like, why leadership? This is our goal. Okay. All right, let's keep going because we're on a roll. If you didn't know, we're gonna have some fun. Does anybody know how many levels of leadership there are? And this is just for the exam. Obviously, outside of public health, this answer might differ, but for the CPH exam, anybody know how many levels of leadership are there? And you can take a guess. Oh, Pooja! 3, woohoo! Okay, anybody else? 4, okay. Okay, everybody's kind of on this 3, 4, 4 thing, which makes sense because I have seen a 4 level of leadership tier thing, framework. So this makes sense. Okay, there are 3. Today's magic number is 3 for a lot of things. When you see leadership, think 3, 3, 3, 3, okay? The first level is the field. That's right, I said the field, okay? The field of public health itself has to be a leader in order to champion a society's interest in promoting good health. So I'm just going to give an example. So here's the timeline, okay? What can you think of some examples when public health was a champion or leader? Yes, I can. For example, in 1951, malaria was eliminated in the US. Public health, right? 1966, smallpox eradication program was launched. So I'm just giving you lots of examples, historical examples, where we're like, wow, public health. We were a champion in promoting health. Yes? Okay, so what's level 1 of leadership? The field. Okay, good. Level 2, the individual. Okay, so the individual is level 2. Anyone can emerge as a leader. That doesn't mean that anybody can do certain leadership styles. I didn't say that, but anyone can emerge as a leader in their role. Leadership is not a title or a position to be given or taken away in public health. So knowing, remember, embracing your role, taking charge and being a leader within your role. I like this meme because we think about office space. This is what we think about terrible leaders. Your manager says, I'm gonna need you to come in this weekend, that'd be great, right? That is not what we're saying. Okay. So we're trying to move away from that and say, how can you take leadership as an individual within your role? Okay. What was the first level? Does anybody remember what was the first level? Type it in the chat. What was the first level? Field. Woohoo! See, you're already going to get 100% on this domain. And level 2 is the individual. Okay, what's level 3? I wonder, drum roll, is the roles and responsibilities. So I'm not saying that the person on the pedestal, the person on the stage isn't a leader. That's not what I'm saying. They are leaders. So some people may need to take on those leadership roles as a component of their work, right? I'm thinking about, because I'm Canadian, the medical officers in Alberta. They have to go out and public speak. They have to be that kind of, frontline person in the media to talk about what public health steps they're going to take. So some people may need to take this role as a necessary tool to complete their tasks. Some don't. So the point is, leadership will depend on your roles and responsibilities. How many levels are there? What is it? Field, individual, and roles and responsibilities. Did everybody get that? And if you didn't, this presentation is recorded, so you can go back and watch me again, my annoying voice, right? Okay, so we set the field of why we do leadership, which was the 10 essential services. We talked about the 3 levels. Okay, now we're gonna do some throwback, and we're gonna talk about how leadership was transformed through theory, because you gotta know this for the exam. Okay, let's throw it real back. Let's throw it back. So where did leadership start? Has anybody heard of this? The great man theory. So it was born in the 1840s, and it was written up by Thomas Carlyle. And the thing that I remember of most about this is Captain America. Great leaders are born, not made. So this great man theory is you can't learn leadership. You're just born with it. So Captain America, nobody else can be Captain America. That's him. He was born into it. He has the confidence. He's got the intelligence, charisma, sociability. He's destined as a leader. So that's what this theory is saying, the great man theory. And I love that it's great man. I love it. So um, there's no women, it's just men. So obviously 1840s. I just want you to know that this is where it started, okay? So that kind of transformed in the 1930s to something called trait theory, okay? So this was popularized by Ralph Stogdill, okay, that's his name, and it focused on the idea that leaders had to have several specific traits or qualities to be effectively lead. So we're still saying the person has to be on the pedestal, person still has to be up on the stage. We're still focused on that. But now they're kind of saying there's certain traits to these leaders, okay? So that's the trait theory of 1930s. From there, behavioral theories emerged. And this saw leadership as being focused on roles and tasks versus intrinsic traits. So rather than being born with the trait, we're now moving on to more specific actions that these leaders tend to display. Maybe still focusing on the pedestal, maybe these people are more outgoing. Maybe they talk to people more. Maybe they shake hands more with more stakeholders. So this led to like the managerial tasks and those leadership qualities that people looked at. This interestingly does challenge the great man theory, which sees leaders as born, like Captain America. This behavioral theory went on a different direction. It's saying that leaders can be trained. So this is where it evolved. Leaders can be trained to learn these roles and tasks to effectively lead. Still pedestal, but you can be trained. Okay. Are we following? Or are we falling asleep? Okay. I don't expect you to memorize this. I just want you to know that leadership theory has been with us for a long time and it has evolved. So have fun with this. Think of it as you're going to a museum and you're learning about leadership. Okay. So now we're moving beyond that great man theory. And now we're moving into the fact at the time that leadership is situational. So typically, these theories are situational in nature, okay? And it's called transformational theories of leadership. But the issue is that they're rooted in the idea that a leader is there to lead a team, okay? That's all they do. They transform people. They stand at the pedestal, right? They transform people through their roles, tasks, behaviors. But the question with this one is what? For there to be a leader, do they have to be followers, right? Are all Instagram influencers leaders, right? Do you have to be an influencer to be a leader? This is how this transformational theory of leadership was challenged. So I'm just showing you how it's been evolving. Okay, we're going to continue on. So then that turned into the 1970s. So this is called the McKinsey 7S framework, okay? Really cool, because this is where you start to really see how it changed. So you can see here, the framework categorizes 7 shared values. You see this? 7 shared values. Structure, strategy, system, shared values, skill, style, and staff. But what's interesting is that these are separated into hard elements and soft elements. Okay, so the hard S elements, these 3, structure, strategy, skills, they're influenced by leadership and management. So the people that manage, right? Like management, people on the pedestal. The soft elements, however, are those that are intangible. Shared values, right? Style, staff, their skill. So what this framework is saying, it's not just about behaviors. It's not just about situations. It's not just about traits or being born. It is much more complex than that. Okay? Good. Last one. So this is today. So Helen Aston created this social change model of leadership. This one I would highly recommend you know. Okay. Now we are viewing leadership as collaborative, value-based process focused on creating positive social change where anyone can be a leader in their roles by actively engaging with others on their team to address health community issues rather than relying on one designated leader with the title. Not that we're saying that there are people with designated titles that are leaders, okay? But we're saying everybody can be a leader in their role. This emphasizes self-awareness, right? Commitment to your project or your organization, collaboration, a common purpose. And these are elements for effective leadership in public health. So just quick quiz. How many levels were there in leadership? And can you cheat because it's all in the chat? Do you remember the 3? Can anyone list the 3? And please let the chat go. Keep going because I want it to be busy. Good. Good, good, good. Does this portion make sense? How we have moved from the great man theory to Aston social change. Does this make sense? I know a lot of you haven't been in public health like courses in a while. So I know it sounds like some people might be like, oh, I can't believe she's reviewing this. Is so boring. But for a lot of us, it's been a while. And some of us are English as second language learners, everybody. So I'm making sure I'm clear. Okay. I want to make sure I'm clear and concise but clear. Okay. Okay. Somebody said no, but I'm just gonna, oh, sorry, Carol, I love you. All I saw was no. Oh, see, Michelle, right? And some of us don't even come from specifically public health, but they work in public health related areas and want this certification. Okay, you ready to move on, everybody? We're going to get even more funky. We're going to get more funky. You ready? We're going to jump into leadership styles. I think everybody loves this part. Okay, we're going to have some fun. SOAR, yes, exactly. Okay, so for these leadership styles, everybody, you will need to know them. I'm going to tell you right now, you will need to know them because chances are in the exam, you're going to be presented with an example of some sort of leadership type, and you will be asked to identify what type of leadership style it is. Okay, so some sort of, circumstance scenario that I'll give you, and you'll need to know. Good, good, good. Okay, you ready? Can anybody guess how many there are for public health? How many leadership styles there are? I love how people are sticking with the 3 and 4. I'm going to tell you this is the one number that is not a 3 or a 4. Oh, Brad, Nicole. Okay, you guys are getting closer. Y'all getting closer. Okay, there's 9. For public, there's more in other realms, but for this exam, there's 9. Okay? You ready? Let's do it. Ashley, you're going to have fun with this. She saw my slides. Okay, let's start with servant leader theory. Okay, so this focuses on the notion that leaders have a responsibility of meeting the needs of others. So the others are the important thing versus their own needs. Okay, the needs of the organization, your colleagues, your friends is number 1. That doesn't mean that their personal needs are thrown away, but the role of the leader is to serve others. Okay, there's a sharing of power. You're encouraging others to advance, you uplift others. So, in our case, Harry Potter. Harry Potter's leadership style is characterized by empathy, courage, the desire to serve others, where he's always sacrificing himself to get Voldemort and bypass evil, right? These traits are similar to those of a servant leader, which is a philosophy that emphasizes putting the needs of others first. Okay. Okay. Good, 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 good. Next one is visionary leadership theory. Okay. So this talks about insight, imagination, passion. So you're thinking about a vision. You're promoting guidance to motivate others to work together towards a unified vision. Okay. The focus is on the encouragement of all people to fulfill that vision. Does that make sense? Okay. So Katniss Everdeen. Okay, so oh, am I on the wrong thing? I am on the wrong slide, y'all. I'm gonna do this one first. Visionary. So, Encanto, Maribel, everybody. Has anybody seen Encanto? So Maribel and her long-term goal was her passion for family and her love for casita, her family home. So visionary leadership is all about the vision. She wanted to keep her family magic burning alive. This is long-term focus, passionate, vision, healthy relationships, insight, imagination. What can we create together? Okay, that is visionary. I'm just going to switch back. Sorry about this, everybody. This is number 3, transformational leadership theory. This one is about inspiring others to work together without force. So they're inspired to work together without coercion, force, or an outright demonstration of power to create a unified vision. So in this case, Katniss Everdeen from Hunger Games was the character who finally began to make change happen from her district. Transformational leaders are able to influence others without force, and they have a clear vision of what they want to change. Katniss Everdeen wanted to stand up against the Capitol and not fall into being forced to live a certain way. Okay? Abigail, they're not in any certain order. I wanted to put in a certain order for something else coming up, but I want to let you know there's servant, transformational, visionary, but there's no certain order. I put it in an order so it's easier to remember. Okay? Next up, relationship-oriented leadership theory. So this encourages good teamwork, creative collaboration with a participative style of leadership where the leader is not above anybody, but at the same level. It's more focused on task-oriented work, okay? And how your colleagues can guide others in working together to accomplish a goal. So Rafiki from Lion King focused on relationships of Simba and his interpersonal dynamics, well-being, and his life satisfaction. Rafiki wanted Simba to go on and work well with others. He wasn't above him, but right? Wanted him to reunite with his family. He wanted him to continue the work of Mufasa. So they're great supporters because they focus on the relationships between people. Okay? All right, we're going. I'm soaring through them. I hope you're having fun. Transactional leadership theory. Okay, so this one's really easy because it's quite obvious in the name. The concept is that employees only perform if there's a promise of reward. Okay? It's the task at hand with incentives for work being completed, as well as penalties for not completing work. Okay? This is on the same line as bureaucratic leadership. Okay, you follow the rules and procedures, right? Unfortunately, they don't tend to generate the best support, strong bonds. However, it is used the most often by managers and directors, sadly. Okay? By the way, I see some comments about oh, this is not the way that public health is right now. Hey, I understand the negativity, but this is for the CPH exam and our optimistic vision of what public health could be. So let's put on some positive thinking caps as future public health leaders and think about how we can put these into action, okay? So in this case, Rapunzel strikes a deal with Flynn Rider. If you take me to the floating lanterns, I'll give you your crown back. Do you remember that? Did you like my voice? She's leading even when she's not necessarily, in a position of power, but at that time, transactional, right? If you take me to the floating lanterns, I'll give you your crown back. Okay? Good, good, good. All right, y'all. Moving on. Authoritarian, autocratic leadership. Okay, y'all. This focus is all about total, complete control over your employees. Not recommended. The leader dictates and controls work without soliciting or accepting any input from others. This is an extreme version of that transactional leadership that we just saw. Okay? So, this unfortunately leads to absenteeism, turnover, lack of engagement among employees. However, some studies say it may be useful at specific circumstances when there is an emergency situation, people are frozen, and you need a leader to take over. Okay? This example is Shrek at the beginning of the movie, not later. He will not accept any help from Donkey, anybody, to get his swamp back, right? I want my swamp back. I think you all are going to be so sick and tired of my voices, but he will not take any help. That's his vision, total control, right? So that's how you can see authoritarian leadership theory. Okay, we're almost there. Laissez-faire leadership theory, okay? Team leaders are allowed to do any work, whatever they want, with little supervision, okay? There's very little input or direction from the manager, director, or leader. What is this? When is this used? It's appropriate for highly skilled and experienced employees, those who are self-sufficient, those who are already very familiar with each other's work practices, standards, ethics. Not good for starting out, but if you already have a good report, this can work. So Peter Pan lets the Lost Boys do as they please, all while monitoring the high-level Captain Hook situation, right? Sometimes the Lost Boys make mistakes, but Peter Pan doesn't work too much. Things will work out all right. Okay? Good, good, good. So, Mita, I will get to your question after I complete all 9, okay? All right. I like laissez-faire, Tara. Oh, we all have our favorites. Okay, democratic participative leadership theory. This one, all are involved in the decision-making process, okay? This tends to produce strong job satisfaction and development of personal skills. There's a greater sense of control over your work, motivation, and it's good for when teamwork is essential and you're looking for quality. That doesn't mean that there's no leader, okay? So the final decision may still rest with a leader. However, their quality example must be set well so that the other team can follow. Okay, so example, the Avengers. They're all heroes and leaders, right? They're all heroes within their own domain. But Captain America kind of takes that lead role, but people still are watchful. Like, what decisions is he making? What kind of role model is he? And that will dictate whether everybody else is motivated. Okay, we got one more, and Mita will answer your question in just 2 seconds. The last one, everybody. Charismatic leadership theory. So the focus is on generating enthusiasm, inspiring others to achieve higher work and production. This doesn't tend to lead to a commitment to a shared vision. It's not really about the vision. It's just more like the leaders have this ability to have a profound effect. You know, I use Winnie the Pooh because he does some interesting things. Maybe not the smartest, but he just has this profound effect on his friends, right? His friends will follow him wherever he goes. This type of leadership tends to command loyalty and devotion, okay? Not so much in the vision. They'll just kind of go with them, okay? So I'm just going to do one more slide, Mita, and I'll answer your question. So you just looked at 9 crazy leadership styles, and you're like, how on earth am I going to remember that? I made up an acronym for all of you, and you might want to write this down. Smart travelers visit real treasures and learn diverse cultures. Write this down. Write this down. Okay. S is servant. T, transformational. V, visionary. R, relationship oriented. T, transactional. A, authoritarian. L, laissez-faire. D, democratic. And C, charismatic. Okay. And Mita asked a question. How does participative leadership differ from relationship-focused leadership? Okay, so let's just review because that's a really good question. And actually, that's a very key question that a lot of folks ask. So let's start with relationship focus. So remember it was Rafiki. So Rafiki is looking at more like the tasks of others in his team and them being uplifted versus himself. Okay. So he's focusing on the tasks, how to guide others in working together to accomplish these tasks. How can others in the Lion King kingdom work better to uplift the Lion King kingdom? I forgot what the kingdom is called, if anybody can remember. Okay. Whereas where is this participatory? Where is it? This one. This one is all are involved in the decision-making process. Does that make sense? There is a leader here, but all are invited to be in the decision-making process, although there can be one leader. Good. And everybody having fun? Is the time just going because we're having so much fun? Yep. Servant, transformational, visionary, relationship-oriented, transactional, authoritarian, laissez-faire, democratic, charismatic. Okay, so how many levels of leadership levels are there? Not 9. 3. Field, individual, roles and responsibilities. Okay. There's 9 styles. By the way, this is how they get you on the exam. Read carefully. Read carefully, okay? Yeah, that's how they get you. Okay. Good. Has everybody written this down? Okay, now we're gonna move on to what the heck we do as public health leaders. Key concepts that we should know as public health leaders that we should strive for. Yeah, somebody said that in the comments. Okay. Key leadership concepts. So now we're going to talk about what the heck we actually need to do, okay? First one is public health assessment. So what is assessment? Huh? Anybody know what assessment is? If you're not sure, I'm going to tell you right now. It's about scanning the environment, right? Monitoring your data, engaging in conversations, figuring out what the heck is going on with your project or your community, right? In your organization. So in my case, if you watch Boba Fett and Fennec Shan, they came to lead Mos Espa, which is a little town, right? But they had to conduct a public health assessment first. And you're like, of course you would like put Star Wars and public health together. Why not? This entire episode, the first maybe the second episode, is them conducting a public health assessment of Mos Espa. And you know what they found? They found that the community was not collaborative. They found that there was an illegal spice trade going on that was causing people to get ill. So, hey, there you go. You watch Star Wars and you're putting your leadership hats. Boom. Boba Fett is a public health leader. Okay. So that is a public health assessment. Now you'll never forget it every time you watch Star Wars. Okay. Another thing, everybody write this down. If you look at these words on the screen right now and you have no idea what they mean, folks, especially who haven't been in public health courses, you're going to be in trouble if you don't know them. Okay. On the exam, not just in this domain, but in like the other like community engagement, management, program management sections, they're going to ask you, they're going to give you an example of a statement and you're going to need to know whether it's a value, whether it's a vision or mission or goal. So I'm just going to read this out once and then we're going to do some examples and then move on. So mission, why an organization exists and how it will serve stakeholders. Okay. So for Monsters Inc., has anybody watched Monsters Inc.? The mission was, creating Scream energy, right? That's why they existed. They wanted to create Scream energy power for electricity for their town, right? Vision, aspirational purpose statement towards this future. I think they had a vision. It was like smiles for scares or scares for, I can't remember, but it was something like that. It was like an inspirational quote, right? Values, organization, foundational beliefs. Their value was you work together in pairs. One of them is the scarer and one of them is the one that puts all the management with the cans, right? Those are their values. They're sharing the values towards working towards we scare because we care. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. We need to put that down. Yeah, that's the vision. We scare because we care. That's a vision. So going back, values. Yeah, their foundational beliefs were they're a really tight-knit town. They have values of family, community, right? Serving the community through electricity. Goals. Do you remember the scare floor and how Randall and Sully had they wanted to have goals, objectives of who's going to get more power? Those are goals and objectives. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to give you some more examples just to put it in stone. Let's just go with Monsters Inc. Okay, you're going to need to know these differences. Again, mission statement, something that motivates you and your team. How will your company fulfill its purpose? So for example, for Monsters Inc., we will increase electricity efficiency for monsters in community by 2030 using laughter power, not scream power. Okay? That can be a mission. Vision statement, inspiring to bring health and happiness to all children who meet a Monsters Inc. comedian from the closet. Okay? Lacey put a really good one. We scare because we care. That is a vision statement. Okay? Do you see the difference? Vision is very aspirational, right? It's like to motivate people. Mission is much more goal, not it's not a goal, but it's more task oriented. It's fulfilling a purpose. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Okay. Another thing you need to know as a leader is how to allocate resources. This isn't just people who are managers. This is just you as well. Project coordinators, right? Research assistants writing up budgets, right? How can you do the greatest amount of good with limited resources? This is the question that we all deal with every day, especially if you're dependent on grant funding, right? So I'm just putting this out there just to know and think about, how do we allocate resources in the best way, right? Do we do it in a process that emphasizes transparency, stakeholder participation, and clear, relevant reasoning? I just want to make it clear for the exam. Remember, this is based on optimistic and visionary theory, not like real circumstances where things may not pan out the way that you want, okay? So just make sure, I know in real life things are different, but for the purposes of the exam, just think about how you want to be as a public health leader and set that as an example for the test. Okay, so before you even allocate resources, everybody, you need to conduct some sort of analysis, okay? You need to figure out what the risks are, right? What are the immediate results versus long-term results? What population are you going to be allocating these resources on? If there's a budget for printing at your office, who's gonna be allowed to print more versus not, right? So I'm just giving you examples and things to think about and to just hound on the fact that allocating resources is part of the leadership domain. Okay. Okay, I have a question for you. Okay, chat time. As a leader in public health, remember, leader in public health in your roles, what do you need in order to successfully implement a public health initiative? So just think about that for a second. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a public health organization, but yep, Catherine, community engagement, money, yes, I know. A team, yep. Anything else other than community and money? A plan, thank you. Who said that? Strategic plan, yes, thank you. Buy-in, yep, we're getting it, we're getting it, we're getting it, yep. Okay. What about, okay, so put on your leadership hats. Okay, we're kind of like spitballing. As a leader, what do you want? Somebody said the team. What about the team? I'm going to push you a little bit here. What about the team do you want? If you're a leader recruiting, what about specifically about the team do you need? And this is how the exam will kind of push you in that domain. Skills, commitment. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. If you are leading an NIH grant on, there's so many issues. Obesity prevention, diabetes. Do you want a girl with a CV who has never done any public health research and her background is in interior design? No, right? And I'm trying to give you very clear examples here. You need experience and specific expertise. Yes, thank you, right? So you all hit it. So these are just some, okay? These are the key ones that you need to know as under the leadership domain. You need innovations. You need that willpower. Remember the leadership style? You need that willpower to like want to create something, create change. You need to show that you are doing some sort of intervention that will create an impact. Whoop, there you go. Look at me go. I'm pushing ahead. You need partnerships, right? You need performance management. So remember I was talking about people, like what kind of people do you need? You need to be able to perform. You need to make sure that you're evaluating them. You need to make sure that they're doing what they need to do and can do it effectively, right? How are you going to do that? How are you going to make sure it's sustainable, right? These are all things that leaders need to think about. Even not people that are managing teams, like even you as a, let's say I'm a research assistant, okay? I'm looking at all the other people in my team. How can I best effectively make sure that their performance is just as effective as mine? Human resources, yes. Communication. Did somebody say that? I can't remember. We need communication. Okay. That's a resource. That's a resource, right? Political willpower. Willpower. We need buy-in. It doesn't have to be like political as in thing that you guys are all thinking about right now, but you need buy-in. Okay. Okay, now let's move on. So other things that you'll need to know as a public health leader, and I put this picture because is his name, what's his name? I can't remember. The grandpa and the Chinese boy, they're both leaders in different ways. I know a lot of people don't think that. They think, oh, the boy is a Scouts and he's going to be a leader, not the grandpa. But they're both leaders in a different way. Russell and Carl, wow. Carissa, y'all better than me. I can't remember. Yes. Do you see that? I'm just putting this as an example, right? How can you best perform in your own leadership role? One of the things that we tend to forget, and folks who've never been in a research project, this is great learning for you. Brenda, that's okay if you don't know. I'm going to give you some things to watch. Is what does your data system look like? Okay. So let's say you were put on a project and you're getting all this health data about dispensations of diabetes drugs. Where do you know what do you know about the data? Where do you know where is it coming from? Right? Who's the keeper of it? Who's night guarding it? How do you know? So you need to know. The point is, as public health leaders, you need to know what your data system in your organization looks like. This is something called public health informatics, right? Effective use of data, information, right, to improve population health outcomes. So I'm trying to get you to think about your resources, right? And I want you to start thinking about what your data system looks like in your organization. Good. We're going to move on. Another thing that I just asked is, how is your team performing? Like, do they have any direction? Or like the minions, are they like ADHD? Like, oh, let's do this. I want to eat a banana. I want to climb the roof. Let's go sing. Let's do karaoke. What is setting your direction for your team? In your team meetings, is it going well? Is it digressing? Did it work well on certain days, certain not? Are you, as a leader within your team, showing that it's okay to make mistakes, right? How are you modeling this behavior? And succession plan, really important. Does anybody know what succession planning is? So we talk about sustainability a lot, but under the leadership domain, we talk about succession planning, which is how will you make the team sustainable? Okay, Brenda asked, are there some systems that are better than others, or does it depend on the data being collected? I would say, I don't like to compare, but obviously there are some systems that are more efficient than others on collecting certain things, certain data, but they may not be efficient in other ways, right? So figuring out what your data system looks like, how you're retrieving the data, where is it coming from, knowing that, right? Michelle, teaching people to replace leadership when they retire. Yes, exactly. Okay, so we talked about key concepts. What is the point? Point is, people need to know their roles, the roles of others, to be productive and to develop a sense of connection and interdependence. This is the key take-home message today about public health leadership. If you go home tonight and you're eating dinner and somebody asks you what's public health leadership, which is going to be my voice in your head, this is the whole point. Your role, your leadership role, the role of others. Do you have a sense of connection and interdependence? Okay. Okay, I'm going to keep asking you some few more questions. We're almost done. Can you believe it? Okay, here's some other questions as a public health leader. Do you know your organizational policies and procedures? Sometimes when there's a code black or code red or whatever is in the building, a lot of people don't know what they are, right? Do you know all of your policies in terms of funding, budgeting? What's allowed, what's not allowed, right? So making sure your team reviews these, revises them, knowing it, how is the language being written? What does it look like? And the biggest thing is, are the policies and procedures supporting your work or hindering your work? Okay. I put this in, I know this is hard, Kay. I know the bolded word is hard in real life, but I'm an optimist and I like to be positive. cup is half full kind of girl, okay? Work to change something that's not working. Okay. If it's constrained by something legislatively, let's work together as public health leaders to change it. We focus so much on the negative and what's not working that we forget how much amazing work we've done in public health. Let's try to avoid normalized deviance, which means like let's try not to cut corners and do it the bad way. Let's be transparent. Let's work with people. Let's work with everyone to, work to change something, right? And this is how public health is always run. We just forget because we're always so focused on the negative. Like, I wish this sucks, this isn't working. Oh my goodness. But there's a lot being done, and it's because of people like you working so hard. We all matter, okay? Okay, somebody said this, and we're at that section. We're at that section, everybody. Strategic planning. You all know it. You have to know this. So do you remember that slide about the mission, goals? Remember Monsters, Inc.? I'm adding one more. Strategic planning. You need to know the difference between those words and this. If you don't know, write it down right now. So the strategic plan sets the direction of an organization for a specific time period. Okay? It will set out all objectives. It's got the budget, the staff needs, the timelines, everything for that organization, which is linked to the mission, vision, and goals of an organization. Okay? So I just wrote down on the right just some key aspects of elements of a strategic plan. But you need to know the difference between a strategic plan, mission, values, goals. Okay? You need to know. I'm just telling you right now. Anybody heard of this? You need to know this for the exam. If you see this, most likely you're going to be in the leadership domain or program management. I'm going to tell you right now. If you see this, most likely you're going to be in one or the other. Okay? This is a strategic planning tool for your organization. It's helping you determine the strengths and weaknesses internally and opportunities and threats externally. I'm not going to spend any more time on this because this is one of like the key things within one of your NPH courses. I want you to go back and look this up and just thoroughly know it. Okay, understand what opportunities mean, understand what threats mean versus strengths and weaknesses. Okay, and it is in this 2x2 kind of chart. So just know it. And I would recommend knowing one or two examples of each of these domains, just so you understand it. Okay. Okay, other frameworks you can also use that you might see on the exam, which actually overlap a lot with the other domains. So just don't be alarmed. Just make sure you read carefully, okay? The CCAT, the CIF, the PATCH, the ABCD, and MAPP. These you're going to see in program evaluation and program management a lot. So just be aware these three domains do interlap like this. Just know these models and know how you can use them. You don't have to memorize what they like specific things, but just know because the exam won't really test you on specific things like that, but it'll ask you how you could use this model to further of your project. Okay. Good, good. Okay, we're almost done, everybody. Last few slides and we're out of here towards the practice test. So anybody heard of continuing education? If you write your CPH exam, you're going to have a few continuing education credits that you'll need to submit. So right now, I'm just asking, what are your professional development plans? Like on yourself, like to improve your performance at work? Do you have one? If you don't, will you have one? So these are things that you need to think about, right? Are you working with your manager or colleagues? I'm just put manager as an example, but are you working with others to grow, right? Are you setting measurable goals? A lot of your professional development plan is to get certified. That's great. That counts, right? So point is, if you see PD, you know you're in leadership. Okay. Next one, same thing, but others. So you got to think about yourself, but you're also thinking about others on your team, right? Are you not whether they're doing it, your relationship, interdependence. Remember that interdependence? Are you learning about their strengths, right? Their weaknesses and their goals. So I'm just going to give you an example from my own lab. I work at Hopkins and we have a beautiful, wonderful, incredible team of faculty members and research associates and assistants and data analysts. I see them and I'm like, okay, she's good at writing. He is good at data analysis. They're good at managing things. Like I'm already figuring out who's good at what. And that way I know I can count on these folks to do certain things. And that way we're more effective as a team, right? So are you working with them to co-develop a plan for your vision, if you have one, right? And are you providing feedback? And this can be something as nice as I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That still counts as feedback, by the way, you know? And are you receiving it from them as well, right? So these are things to think about. Okay, we're on the last 5 more and we're done. Are you having fun? This should be like a walk, a promenade in the park, you know? Um, Guess what? The number 3 is coming up again. Another concept that will overlap with the other domains is capacity building. You'll see this in community engagement a lot. But remember, as a leader in public health, you'll need to know these terms. So this is just review. There are 3 levels to capacity building, which kind of can get confusing. It's individual, organizational, and community. IOC. Okay, you're developing knowledge, skills, commitment, structure, systems to enable effective health promotion. IOC. Okay. I'm going to skip this one. Okay, here's the last theoretical thing, and I'm done today with theory, okay? Who's seen this movie? Houston, we have a problem. So the plan, do, check, act. I put this down because I've always seen this, okay? This is so important. And we're talking about sustainability. Remember that succession plan? Not just about your employees, but your project, right? As a leader, how are you continuously checking quality of your projects and your team? Plan, do, check, act. So planning, understanding the problem, collecting baseline data, proposing solutions. You're doing it, right? You're proposing the solution, you're doing it, you're collecting the data, you're going to check on it, check and see if it was working, right? Pre and post intervention. And then from your lessons, you're going to act and then you're going to do it again. Okay, so plan, do, check, act. Capacity building, yes, I'm going to go back. So individual, organizational, and community. Okay. Last couple slides, everybody. These are just questions. So at this point in the presentation, I like to ask you questions. So as a leader, because you have your leader hats, are you being accountable? Is your team being accountable, right? Because we are leaders right now. And accountability, if you don't know what this word is, write it down. Write it down. The principle that individuals, organizations, and the community are responsible for their actions and may be required to explain them to others. Okay, are you doing what you say you're going to do? Right? Is your team doing what they're saying you're going to do? And I know what you're thinking. Don't do negative Nancy on me. Okay. Are we accountable? Okay. And this is not a negative question. This is a realistic question to me, at least, right? Okay, everybody. No matter how accountable we are, I know the reality. Like Forrest Gump said, my mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Things change, right? So, things can't always stay the same. And it's not meant to be, right? Things change. So one thing as a leader that you need to be aware of is organizational change. And how are you going to manage that? This is an example. You don't have to know this, but I'm just giving you an example that you will need to take specific steps to make sure when your organization changes that you're still communicating the vision, right? You're still having, making sure your team is performing well, right? Accountability. Are you still accountable? Are you empowering others? Are you planning? So change is inevitable, and you need to make sure you know and have the theory and background to support the changes that are happening. One of the changes that can happen is conflicts. Okay. Conflicts happen in the workplace all the time. And there are 5 different styles, everybody. How many leadership styles were there? 9. But there are 5 styles of conflict management. AACCC. I'm going to just go through these. You can avoid it. Just ignore it. Whatever, right? You can be accommodating. You can give in and somebody wins, someone loses. You can be competitive. Fight it out, someone wins. You can compromise, but compromise means neither party is happy. And I know sometimes that happens. I know. But the most ideal situation is collaborative. Both parties are happy because you work together to problem solve. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this on for 10 seconds while you write this down. But Ultimately, you want to strive for collaborative. Yes, I have seen this as animals. I have seen it. Okay, everybody good? So some steps, okay, so this is not the be and all, okay? I'm just giving you an example. Some ways to manage conflict. Have anybody seen this movie, The Notebook? Ryan Gosling says to Rachel McAdams, like, "What do you want?" And she's like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Just tell me, what do you want?" And she's like, "It's not that simple." Okay? The point of this meme is you need to have respectful communication and you need to be clear on what you want. Okay? No passive aggressiveness. Okay? We need to respectfully, actively listen and understand the problem on both parties. Each party will propose solutions, the pros and cons of each solution, and then collaboratively agree on the solution. Okay? So I know I saw this meme and I'm like, yeah, that's, yeah. Okay? Last few slides. We're almost there. Another side of conflict management is negotiation. Has anybody entered into a negotiation? Man, anytime I think about this, is is in the court, Judge Judy, right? But that's not what we're talking about, okay? Um, Negotiation is a process of exchange. Notice it didn't say disagreement, okay? It's an exchange between parties for the purpose of reaching agreement. Okay, so the goal of negotiation is collaboration for public health for this exam. So when you see negotiation on the exam, you know you're talking about collaboration, you know you're talking about conflict management. Okay, last slide. You ready? Guess how many phases of negotiation there are? Guess how many? You've seen the numbers so many times, the same number that keeps, yes! Come on, I made it easy for you. Come on. 3, diagnostic, formula for agreement, detailed negotiation exchange. So diagnostic is like, you remember your Boba Fett, right? Assessment, you're figuring out what the issue is, right? You're diagnosing the problem. Okay? You're gauging your stakeholders, you're figuring out what the heck is happening. Then with your party, you're negotiating. So your formula for agreement, you're negotiating the space, who's going to talk, who's not going to talk, pros and cons. The last thing is actually coming in, writing down how you're going to work together to resolve this. Okay, let's take a 1-minute breather here, okay? Before we go on to our questions. So I know Ashley's going to hop on. Any questions at this point regarding any of the material that we covered before we hop on to, I can't remember how many questions we have, Ashley. I think
I think
12.
we have about 15.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And if you need to hop off, that's great. Thank you for coming in. Like, I really appreciate you. If you learned anything, 9 styles of leadership, 3 levels, 3 capacity building, and 3 negotiations.
Do you want to answer? We have about 3 questions in the chat.
Yes.
You want to answer those? Okay. So the first one is there a date or time frame in which behavioral theories were introduced or become more prominent?
So my answer to that is they've always been around. I didn't put it in the slides, but the great man theory was 1800. So I'm going to say that that's kind of where it started, 1840s. And then all of the other slides that I kind of introduced kind of go from that timeline. So the next one is, I think, 1930s, like the traits one. Behavioral theory was like 1960s. And then from there, the transformative was 1970s and so on and so forth. The most recent one, there's not a be catch-all theory, but I'm just showing you that that's how it evolved. I mean, we don't expect you to know that timeline. I just want you to know that there is a timeline and that leadership has always been important in public health. That's the biggest thing that we want to make clear.
Next one, should we focus on knowing Austin's social change model of leadership?
Yes, I would know that.
Okay.
The answer is collaboration, right? It's not just about being born as a leader. It's not just about traits. It's circumstantial, right? Hard and soft skills. Remember that McKinsey. Also know your McKinsey. But it's about knowing your role. Remember, knowing your role as a leader within your space and how to empower others, how to work well, performing. That's what a public health leader is.
And our last question I have right now is, in the real world, Can there be a mix of leadership styles?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
What is that personality test? What is that test? I can't remember everybody. You know what I'm talking about. The NB.
The Myers-Briggs one?
Nope, the MBT. Is it the the MBTI? That one. You all know what I'm talking about. There are many different styles, pending circumstance and personality and organization. The manager for Burger King is not going to be the same manager for a public health office. Okay. So, but that doesn't mean that the manager for Burger King is not important. Okay. The manager for Burger King has to do their job well in order to make sure the burgers are cooked and all that stuff, right? And to make sure that the customers are happy, right? So, yes, there can be mixes. However, for the exam, okay, you need to differentiate between them. I'm sorry. Okay. In the real world, you can do whatever you want, but for the exam. I think there's some questions in the other chat,
Yeah, we have one
Ashley.
that
I'm
says,
just trying
what's
to
an
catch up.
environmental scan?
Yes. So Mita, that is very similar to your community assessment. So that's almost like the hand in hand to your community assessment, um, as well as your public health assessment. A lot of these terms are interchanged pending the domain, but at the end of the day, they do kind of similar things. Some of these assessments are framed under the evaluation domain. So it's very focused on the pre and post impact of your project, right? The summative evaluation, right? Formative evaluation, all that. So these terms are all similar. You're scanning the environment, you're diagnosing the problem, the environment to figure out what you need, what the needs are, who you need to call, all that stuff. But just make sure when you see those terms on the exam, you read carefully to figure out which domain you're in, and then that will help you pick the right answer. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, everybody. Before we do anything, I forgot. Actually, I forgot to say this book. Ugh.
Oh yeah, I have the new copy. So this
Can
is
you
the
share?
copy.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Ashley has the new copy. So this is the old copy. So don't look at me. Look at Ashley. If you're serious about writing this test, okay, everybody, you need to get this book because I know the editor. We both know the editor. The editor and I, we wrote CPH exam items together for many years. Okay, we know her. She's the author of the book. You're literally having the author of the book, author of one of the authors for the CPH exams book. Okay, this is probably your prime source. The questions in here, everybody, are not just multiple choice, but it's meant like it's framed like that to get you to think. So I want you to slowly read each chapter and answer them without looking up the answer and cheating to look up the answer. Okay. Some questions are very lengthy. You're right, but Mita, that just means that you're going to ace the test. Mita, you're ready. You're ready. You're so ready. Okay. Is the book linked? Ashley just posted it. The book is called, is it still called the CPH?
Yeah, it's the Certified in Public Health Exam Review Guide. It's published by APHA Press, and I did put the link in the chat. It's also the same link that I'm sending out every week in the emails that you guys are adding with the different things. So yeah, you have had access to that link for quite a while. But yeah, in case you still needed it, there it is. And yes, there is a PDF version, so there's a digital version that APHA Press puts out now too. All right. You feel
Yep.
ready to start practice questions?
There's 15. You ready? Any discounts for non-members? I don't know that is correct.
You're gonna have to go to APHA, and you'll have to figure that out. So I don't believe there is a discount if you're not a member.
Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
Everybody ready? Just grab a big gulp of water or coffee or whatever. Um, and before we move on, I just really want you all to just put away all your books. Just put away all your books, and there are no mistakes, only reflecting on what you need to do. Okay. So there's no mistakes. Don't be hard on yourself here. I want you to genuinely take this as I'm going to try. Couple caveats. Some of these questions are past previous questions, so they might be a little bit wordier than the actual exam. Okay. Because I used to help write these exams item banks. So just note, try not to nitpick at the way that the question is written rather than focus on what they're asking. Okay, you all ready? Let's try it. Put everything away. Turn off your phone. Okay, ready? Just have pencil and pen. Okay, let's give it a shot. I'll read out the question, the answers, and I'm just gonna wait. I'm not gonna talk. A group uses problem solving to reconcile underlying differences and create a win-win situation for the mutual benefit of all parties. This approach exemplifies which of the following styles of conflict management: accommodating, avoiding, collaborating, or compromising.
Wait a couple more seconds. All right. Serena, can you see the answers?
Now I can. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So 77% said C, collaborating, and that is the right answer. So um, everyone comes together, everybody has a say, nobody feels like they have to give something up. Remember, compromising, neither parties are happy. Collaborating, both parties are optimistically happy. Mutual benefit of all parties. Good. Everybody got that? Okay. Again, no mistakes, only time for reflection. Okay. All right, question 2. Which of the following types of leadership would be most helpful in an organization experiencing an uncertain future? Servant, laissez-faire, visionary, transactional.
Here we go.
All right, 84% said visionary. Remember, Encanto, Maribel. So planning for the future based on current evidence and organizational goals. So, focusing on that vision for her was that family, right? Protecting her house. She was uncertain of the future. Okay. Question 3, a crucial step for establishing positive team interdependence is determining deadlines, attending group meetings, establishing group member roles, managing communication patterns. Pick the best answer. All right. So most people got it right, 86%. Establishing group member roles. Because remember, on your leadership thinking hats, you have to know your group dynamics, that interdependence, right? People need to know what everyone is responsible to do in terms of accountability to best work together. A good tough one is managing communication patterns, because you want to talk about, how we talk to each other. But the best answer is knowing each other's roles. Okay. When developing a strategic plan, which of the following analyses can identify how an organization relates to its external environment? ROI, RFP, RACI, SWOT.
Mhm.
Hmm. All right, pretty much everybody got that one. It is the SWOT analysis. So whenever you see strategic planning, you know it's going to be SWOT analysis. Good, good. Good job, everybody. You're doing great. Question 5. Which of the following best exemplifies a vision statement in a health department strategic plan? The department will provide quality, comprehensive, culturally proficient health services. The department will initiate a smoking education program in all primary schools in the region. The department is committed to protecting the health of the residents of the community. The department will provide extraordinary service to the community it serves, resulting in the healthiest community in the region. All right. So this one, folks probably get confused between C and D. The answer is D because it's got that aspirational aspect to it. Okay. The healthiest community in the region, extraordinary service. So that is what will differ it between a vision and like a value statement or even like goals, right? Or mission statement rather. So that's the difference. A nonprofit grocery store is opening in a small community neighborhood with a vulnerable population. A banner hung under the business sign reads, "A community where no child will ever be hungry again." What kind of statement is this banner depicting? Okay, so this one's tricky because you got to think about what a vision versus mission is. So the answer is B, vision. Do you remember in the Monsters Inc., we scare because we care? That's exactly what this is. So the answer is B, vision, because a community where no child will ever be hungry again. That is a vision, not a mission. Okay. Mission is more, it has more specific timeline. Remember the time, it's specific, not period of time, but it'll say like, we will deliver electric power by 2030. Do you remember that? The mission? Vision has that aspiration aspect. Okay. For the governance of an organization, which of the following should be measurable? Do you see what I mean, y'all? Like you got to know these differences. Vision and values, mission and vision, goals and objectives, mission and goals.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. People got it. You got it. So goals and objectives. You got it. Yes, SMART goals. Does everybody know this? If you don't know what SMART goals are, you need to go and review that. Okay.
I've just had a question. Why
Okay.
is D not the correct answer?
Mission and goals. So, oh, wait. Okay. So, D is a really good distractor. Okay. So, mission can have a direction where it has a specific time, but it doesn't have to. It's more of a direction. Does that make sense? So, the mission talks about a direction. Whereas objectives and goals are required to have directly measurable outputs. So that's where it gets tricky. So you really need to know the difference between the terms, or else you'll get caught up like that. Okay. So mission can have some sort of direction, which can include a time point, which I'm thinking that's what you're thinking about measurable, but it doesn't have to be. Okay. Good question. That's a great question. Thank you. Okay, here we go, everybody. Your favorite part. To improve a research center's public image, the director commits to securing additional funding for faculty whose research has significant measurable community impact. This leadership style can be described as transactional, laissez-faire, visionary, authoritative. And actually, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. We're good. Yeah, okay, perfect. Oh yeah, perfect. I said an hour and a half, so we're doing way good on time. Good.
Okay, a couple more seconds.
Everybody got it. Yes. So the answer is what? Transactional. Okay, so do you see the transaction? Secure any additional funding for faculty if your research has significant measurable community impact. Purpose here is to secure a particular outcome, task, reward structure. Okay. Okay. Oh, here we go. Succession planning involves a defined plan to cultivate a new group of leaders, outline new ideas for research studies, amend the mission and operations of an organization, update current programs and services to incorporate policy and regulatory changes.
All right.
Okay, yay. Good. Oh, let's see where we're at. So, okay, so most people got it. 60% said A, which is the answer, cultivate a new group of leaders. The distractor is D, which I think most people update a current program and services. So remember, succession planning. It has to do with people that you're working with, remember? And making sure that your team is sustainable. So cultivating a new group of leaders who will carry on to keep the organization successful. It is not anything to do with current programs or services. Okay. By the way, if it was D, it would be talking about sustainability. Okay, I just want to make that differentiation. Okay, we're almost there. 5 more questions, everybody. Are you hanging in there? In the design and implementation of public health data systems, installing security features should be inherent in privacy by design at all stages. A task separately done by an expert cybersecurity team. Limited to firewalls and administrative control. Final step before release of software systems. All right, couple more seconds.
Mhm. Okay.
Excellent. Yes, most people got it. So it's inherent in privacy by design at all stages. It's everyone's responsibility. Remember that slide? I said, what does your data system look like? Do you know where your data is being stored? How is it being secured? That's what I'm talking about. Okay. After identifying and appointing expert members to interprofessional teams for implementing health initiatives, the administration has shifted all responsibility to the team. Roles should mainly consist of receiving periodic progress reports. Should plan to confirm the team norms and dynamics are productive, can announce that the initiative was successfully launched.
Wait a couple more seconds. Right. I'm gonna end this one.
Okay, so the answer is C. Should plan to confirm the team norms and dynamics. A good distractor is B. Role should mainly consist of receiving periodic progress reports. That is not correct because it's not, it doesn't say anything about the role. It should mainly consist of receiving periodic. That's not correct. So you want to make sure that you're confirming their dynamics and making sure that as a leader, you're checking that they are being productive. Good. When considering culture in research and practice, which of the following reflects best practice? Treating members of all cultural groups in the same way, engaging culturally diverse advocacy leaders in the community, recognizing that cultural uniformity is necessary for effective health intervention delivery, helping members in that community more easily fit into the mainstream culture to increase a sense of belonging.
All right.
All right. Good job, everybody. Whoops. The answer is B, engaging culturally diverse advocacy leaders in the community because stakeholders are involved in all steps of the process. Okay, we're almost done. A community health organization is collecting data and talking with community members about concerning trends related to the use of vaping devices in the K-12 school system. This would be an example of engaging in implementing a health initiative, organizational change management, assessment, or continuous quality improvement.
All right, let's end this one.
All right, good job, everybody. So answer is C. So keeping an eye on current trends, engaging with the community. So the reason why it's not continuous quality improvement is because we're not at that stage yet, right? We're just looking at the community and they're seeing that the community is struggling with concerning trends on about vaping. We haven't done any type of evaluation or initiative or implementation of an intervention or anything like that. We're just assessing. Remember Boba Fett? Remember? Okay. Last two questions and we're out of here. A health agency wants to implement a new initiative to improve the availability of fruits and vegetables at local corner stores by creating an incentive between store owners and agricultural leaders. This would be an example of evidence-based development, cross-sector partnership, performance management, political willpower.
Okay.
Great. Like 99% of people got that. So the answer is cross-sector partnership, right? Discussion and collaboration between private and public spheres. Last question, and you're done. A public health researcher wants to implement a program to help with tobacco usage reduction in urban areas. They're currently in the process of training community leaders on how to implement the education component of the program to ensure fidelity of implementation. This would fall, not full, fall under the blank aspect of continuous quality improvement. Plan, do, study, and act.
Okay, this one we have two answers that are pretty close, Serena.
I had a feeling if you don't remember this one, it's tough. So folks will probably be stuck on between A and B,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not going to show the answer just yet because this one is, I left it for last on purpose. So biggest thing is you got to read. Okay. So they're saying they're currently in the process of training community leaders on how to implement it to ensure implementation later on. They haven't implemented the thing. They're just training to implement the education component later on. So that tells you that the answer is planning. Does that make sense? So we haven't done it yet. So this is where the CPH exam will really test you in a sense. You have to really read carefully, okay? Read slow and carefully. No. So Anne-Marie, great question, thank you. So when they say do in the plan, do, study, they're talking about the actual project, the implementation of the actual intervention. So notice, implement the education component of the program to ensure fidelity of implementation. They're not even implementing it yet. They're just training them on how to implement it. Yes, they are training the community leaders, but they're not implementing the tobacco usage reduction project yet. Does that make sense? Because look, a public health researcher wants to implement a program to help with tobacco usage reduction. They're currently in the process of training community leaders on how to implement it. They're not actually implementing the program on tobacco reduction yet. This is how they have to do it. Yeah. Isn't act when it will be what, sorry, isn't act when leaders are trained. Okay, so no. So Ina, I think you're misunderstanding the question. So the actual act, the do, study, act, like the do part is doing the actual project. After you planned it out, you're doing the actual project. And then study is actually obtaining the data pre and post and figuring out whether your project worked. Act, okay, is lessons learned. Yeah. Francis, did that help? Correct, Julie. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, that one's a tricky one, huh?
That one's tricky. You see what I mean, though, everybody? This is how people get like the one or two questions wrong because they can't quite remember the difference between missions and values, or goals and object or sorry, goals versus values, goals versus, stuff like that. So remember, this is just like an overview, okay? So if there's anything that's um in this presentation that you're like, I don't remember that. Get the book. I know it's not this book. Actually, you have the book. Get that book, okay? Read through it. Um, and really circle, like highlight, like use your book, highlight the ones that you're not sure. If you see a word like implementation, accountability, you're like, what the heck is that? Circle it, go back to your notes, read papers, figure out what that means in the sphere of public health. Okay. I'm just going to stop sharing. You can stop recording for a second
Mhm.
here. I'm going to
10
stop
seconds.
sharing. Come on, get out of there.
All right.
Any
Well, yeah.
questions?
So thank you everyone for coming. We'll stay on a few more minutes if anyone has any questions for Serena, but if you want, our next session will be community engagement and partnership on Thursday. So I hope to see everyone then. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.